women's enlightenment. Men's enlightenment is hard. Women's enlightenment is hard squared. Like Obama said about Hillary, she has to do everything I do, only in heels. We have to do everything men do, only in love. We can't merely non-attach. We have to face our shadows and demons in the context of a living, breathing relationship. The mountaintop is not a viable option for us. It's down here, drowning in a sea of obsession, possession, jealousy, hope, searching for validation and approval while trying to prove that we are good enough, pretty enough, worthy. Until one day, the trying stops and we rest. Where we've been knocked around, we let go. We don't reach or achieve power. It rises up from the ground beneath us. And you're going to try to tell me that women aren't resilient, strong, capable? No. We are just making the journey with a 1,000-pound backpack, Snickers from the peanut gallery, and making lunch for his journey. You see, I love men. This isn't my weakness. It's my strength. It's what makes my training more high altitude than any mountain one could climb. I can't just leave that part behind. And I love my sisters and have to make stops on the way because one of our parents died, or one got a diagnosis, or got dumped. So my journey to the light involves a lot of darkness. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's slow, but it's thorough. I don't drop or cut anything off to get there. My demons and my angels come with me. I was speaking to a Lama about heartbreak, and he said, if you keep doing X, you're going to have a lot of heartbreak in your life. As a woman, that's like saying, if you keep inhaling and exhaling, you're going to have a lot of breathing. Of course you are. But on the path of love, the heart breaks open again and again. You get space from that opening, not from amputating. As with birth, a woman learns to continually dilate through the contractions. Every leg of my journey has been in order to become better for another. In my case, often a man. I was called to tend to him, to share with him. He was doing his path. I had to take on his path if I was going to be close to him. My engagement with the path was the byproduct of love. My nature is to delight, to exude, to radiate. If he loved enlightenment, then great, so did I, because I loved him. In Eros, we call this an assigned author, the excuse to become great for another. To say I love you because that's what I do. As neither transaction nor duty, my love is free, and so am I. That's how it works. But it's also deeply personal. And mutuality here on the ground is where the magic that the skies promise really happens. I have mine already. I was born with it. Creative power. Every woman was. We are wealthy beyond imagination. That single realization is the key to the lock. I tell male teachers that I love them, but I cannot have a teacher. It will interfere with my knowing. I get absorbed and forget that I already have it. I'm here in the highest capacity to share, to exchange. I do joyously listen and receive the teachings, but perhaps with a different motivation. I want to see the world through their eyes, through the eyes of those who follow those teachings, so that I might more effectively offer by knowing their language and vision. I want to understand the quirks and idiosyncrasies, the why they do what they do. What someone in that role gives me is an opportunity to practice standing in what I know so that I can see how to offer, that I might bring in the absent feminine, that I might say with conviction, oh, that's not how it works for a woman, and demonstrate what a woman's presence looks and feels like. How suddenly, when she merely radiates, the world around her changes. People feel better. They light up. They make contact. They feel the intimacy they didn't know they were seeking for. Everyone falls a little in love. But it's like fog. You can't point to it or touch it, really. Speak about it even. It doesn't wear robes or titles. My highest rank is woman. Just suddenly, without realizing it, you're wet. What was dry and arid and tight inside is now moist. There's nothing to push against. This, to me, is the feminine form of emptiness I read about in Buddhist texts. But do know that I may be mistaken. Just love that wants only to love and spends lifetimes perfecting the offering. 2 days after hearing of the indictment, I was in Mongolia. A group of us were sitting in the forest, looking out at the trees. I was sitting there in love with the people who were there, in love with my friends in the United States, in love with the man, in love. The Lama instructed us to look at a tree as a means of relating to the Dharma. Just beyond that, though, was an early summer splash of yellow wildflowers. I could not follow the instructions because the flowers radiated something out, a force that drew my eye to them. Between the flowers and my eye existed living, breathing space. The flowers blurred into a yellow illumination and made the space glow, and in turn made my body glow. What exists in separation, and anxiety perhaps, was absent. In its place came joy. Flower, space, Nicole were inseparable and indistinguishable. I reached down and touched the earth. Something elemental rose up from the soil in affirmation. This, during a time of what could be considered duress, simply from flowers exuding. I was happy. That to me is Eros, life force, woman. It can't be taught, it must be met. First by its keeper, then, if we are fortunate, by another who has the faculty of sight. The flowers weren't doing it for me. They were doing it because that's what they do. But I can say, and perhaps I was a little too far out, they were happy to be noticed. As we walked back to the Ger camp, having not said a word about my experience, the Lama leaned down, picked a yellow flower, and gently placed it behind my ear. Yellow in Tibetan Buddhism signifies increase, radiance, and noble gold.